How much you want to bet I could shoot an arrow over the mountains? You want to shoot an arrow over some mountains? You're probably going to need a PSE bow. Well, I'm going to give one away, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. You know how this goes. If you're subscribed to the channel, you're liking, you're commented, you're entered in the giveaway. Free PSE bow. Why not? Well, guys, it's here. It's food plotting season, and maybe it's not even food plotting season yet in your neck of the woods, but you need to be planning. Hell, I started planning in January as to how many bags and the designs and drawing stuff up on maps and all this good stuff. As far as, you know, trying to create the ultimate whitetail parcel on my own, and obviously other people's, that's what I do for a living, you know, travel around and design these properties and things like that. But I'm going to give you a quick tip that I use on a lot of properties. There's a certain amount of food that you should definitely have on your property in order to compete with your neighbors, depending upon where you are. What do your neighbors have? Are you in crop country? When do those crops come off? Is there food after that? Just because your neighbors have crops doesn't mean you get away without planting food. When those crops come off in October, September, maybe in November, maybe later if it did rain, what happens when it's gone? The time in which deer needed food the most, you didn't have it. How do you want your deer herd to thrive? They will not. Most likely, at least. You know, it's situational, but there's a certain percentage you should have in food, and in order to meet this this percentage, sometimes you don't get to do these fancy designs with all these pinch points and things like that with your food plot that you wish you could do or that you saw on other YouTube channels or you saw on TV. So here's the thing, guys. On a given property, I like to see the property between 5 and 10% in food. Now, there's a lot more that goes into this than just that. It's having palatable food at the right times of the year. Really a 365-day food plot, if at all possible, so that our herd can thrive. So in order to do that, sometimes you're limited. You don't have a lot of area. Topographically speaking, there's only certain areas you can plant in your property. Based off your axis, there's only certain areas you can really plant. So you don't get to get away with doing these fancy little, you know, these sexy food plot designs, I'll call them, because you don't have the acreage to do it. And if you start curving things here and pinch pointing it there, next thing you know, you cut out an extra half acre to an acre that you could have used in food. But I'm going to tell you a way in which you can plant these food sources, meet that 5 and 10%, and still have, you know, have enough food, but still have the pinch points, still have it strategic, so that we're not sitting on a big 10-acre field and just saying, oh, the deer are 300 yards away. At least we saw something tonight. We're not in the game. We don't want every hunt to be an observation hunt. We want these deer to be encouraged to walk through these food plots, not look all the way across them and see across them. Because if they can't see across them, they'll be encouraged to move around them. And the more movement that takes place, the more you are likely to end up killing these deer. Maybe that's a doe for you. Maybe that's a monster buck. Maybe that's a Boone and Crockett deer. But nonetheless, this strategy will work for all of you. So my favorite thing to do is, obviously we want to figure out what we need for a given property, whether it needs to be closer to that 5 to 10%, depending on deer herd, and a lot of different variables. If you can't figure that out, bring somebody that knows what they're doing, bring it into your property, get that second opinion. You know, somebody, it doesn't have to be me, but bring somebody reputable in, not some guy that you find for 200 bucks on the internet to help you, because you only get to do this stuff once or twice on your property, depending on the improvement. So my goal is to find out what needs to be done, that 5 to 10%, where we need to be. And then what I like to do is just cut out the areas in which we are able to put these food sources in. Maybe it's, you got to cut it out in timber. Maybe the field's already there. Maybe we take it away from a field that already exists, like a crop field or something like that. And hopefully we can put them in strategic locations. And if you don't know how to do that, ask for help. Obviously, you know, have somebody come in. But once we get there, I'm not opposed to putting these food plots in any shape or design that we can to meet that 5 to 10%. Big open fields, I'm cool with it. Let's get the deer on the property first before we worry about trying to kill them. If they're not on the property to begin with, we can't kill them. So we need to get the amount of food there possible. So I don't care what the shape or design is going to be originally. Let's just get that food there. Let's work with what we have on the property from a topographical standpoint, access, all these other things, put it in places so you don't have to walk by it. And let's just put that, let's say a big circular or square field on the property. But now we met the 5 to 10% because we put this big field in. How do we create the pinch points now? Because we don't have the little bottlenecks and the shape with the timber around it and curves and the turns in these food plots. It's pretty simple, actually. And one of the tips and tricks that I like to use is using some sort of screening. So I work with Frigid Forage. It's by far my favorite seed company right now. And they have a product called Plot Screen. Okay, this Plot Screen, a lot of people think about putting on the exterior of your plots to get you in and out of your tree stands, putting it up to the bases of your box blinds, things like that. But in reality, what I like to do, and I guess if you could picture it this way, is let's say we had this big circular food plot of 3, 4, 5, 10 acres, and I run screens out into it in different directions. Basically, we're chopping that food plot up. We're compartmentalizing that food plot into numerous food plots, really, and creating a lot more edge within that food plot. And what we're doing is we're encouraging movement to take place then. Let's say that big buck, you just planted that 5-acre field, and it's great. It brings deer out, but you're never in the game because he can look out there and see for 200-300 yards. That's not benefiting you as a bow hunter. Gun hunter, maybe. But if we put these screens through the property and put them strategically so that next thing you know, that deer has to cut around the bend within 20 to 40 to 50, 60, even 100 yards, puts you in the game around these screens. It compartmentalizes the food plot. They can't see what's going on. They're more likely to travel throughout it. And when they do travel through it and they zigzag through these screens, they're more likely to walk in front of your tree stands. Now, I'm not saying put these screens 20 yards apart and really shrink them down. You don't want these deer to feel, constricted and restricted as to which ways they can go, like they're trapped. But, it will help break up these large food plots. So sometimes you're not even close to your 5 to 10% in food. And if you need to be, and you're really trying to be, plant these food plots big, but compartmentalize them with screening, okay? These screens can grow up to 10 plus feet tall, especially the one from Frigid Forge, the plot screen. That's by far my favorite one that I'm using right now. And they got a lot of other good products too as far as food plots go. So that's my favorite one to use right now. That's my favorite way to really compartmentalize a big food plot, meet the 5 to 10%. Don't worry about the little designs, the bottlenecks here and there. You can recreate those later on once your food plot system is built and we meet that 5 to 10%. So that's my goal for a lot of these properties, and that's one of the tricks that I like to use, guys. So if you're doing some food plot planning for this year, getting ready to plant those food plots, think about that. Think about ways in which you could create the pinch point, meet the 5 to 10%, and kill more bucks, guys. So if you like this video, you like any of these videos, you like these topics, you want to learn more, we got a really cool series coming up that's going to show you how I'm building one of my properties, on the hoof, in the flesh. We're going to be out there doing the work so you guys can see it done. But if you like any of this stuff, like, comment, subscribe. We're always putting new videos out. So if you want to see them, like, comment, subscribe.